Have you ever run out of money while making your armors, weapons, or upgrading them? Well, sounds like a you problem, because I never have. But this actually is a common problem among players of Monster Hunter, especially in the early game. Even when you've reached endgame, you still sometimes met this financial problem from time to time. It's not that big of a deal for me though, because I got my own ways to deal with this problem. And I'm going to share with you all how. The currency used in Monster Hunter goes by Zenny. If you want to buy or craft armors, weapons, upgrade it, buy in consumable items, and eat at the canteen, you'll have to pay using Zenny. There's another currency called Research Point, which you can also use for some certain transactions, like augmenting your weapon, crafting something at the Elder Melder, buying things from the Argosy, and you can also actually pay your meal at the canteen with Research Point. Of course, everyone is financially challenged at the start of the game. We're all a bunch of broke-ass hunter at the beginning. Kinda like what some of us are going through in real life right now, especially myself. This kind of situation usually only happen early on in Monster Hunter. Supposedly. I'm pretty sure we've all been there. You know, wanting to upgrade our armor, head to the blacksmith, hand over some armor spheres, and when you're about to pay, your money isn't sufficient. Stuff like this is super common among hunters. In actuality, we who actually plays the game knows that the way of getting money in this game is by completing quests, farming. That's why I believe some of you have looked for the best way to farm Zennys and shit. Well, me personally dislike this way of collecting money. It's just, it will get more tedious the more you repeat this kind of methods. Like, for example, fighting the Nightshade Paulumus event quest over and over again to grind for Zennys. It's gonna get tiring at some point. That's why I got my own way to earn money. It may not be as efficient and fast as the so-called best ways to earn Zennys out there, but I enjoyed doing this the way I did it. So the first thing I always did to earn money in Monster Hunter is to sell unused monster materials from the item box. I think it is logically reasonable to do this because, let's be honest, there's no real reason for you to hoard those materials. Unused materials to be exact. I also never randomly sell any materials, I picked the one I deemed qualified to sell. Kind of a weird phrasing saying unused items as qualified, but oh well. And I always left 10 to 15 pieces of the materials anyway, so I'm not just straight up selling everything. What's clear though, is you've got to have the materials first, before you can even consider selling it. If you never complete quests and rarely hunt monsters, there's no way you can have enough material to sell. Luckily, my habit of creating multiple armor sets has me grinding for materials all the time, so I've ended up with a pile of unused materials. This method gets even better the more you hunt. Your materials will pile up like crazy, so if your wallet's looking thin, no need to stress it out, just sort through your materials and sell some off. Problem solved. The next one is my primary way of earning a research point, by picking up bounties from the resource center. If you never bothered with bounties, start doing it from now. Make it a habit, because trust me, it's gonna be useful later on. Basically, bounties are some sort of objectives that is assigned to us to complete, with research point as the reward. They range from simple tasks like gathering plants, mushrooms, mining, to hunting specific monsters with certain criteria. You can take up to 6 bounties to complete at a time, so plan ahead and align them with the quest you're taking on. For example, if you are farming Diablos to craft its armor, grab the Flying Wyvern Hunt bounty, since, you know, Diablos is a flying wyvern, and because Diablos' habitat is in the Wildspire Waste, take a bounty of Mushroom Gathering, because you're bound to come across mushrooms along the way. That way, the bounties complete themselves while you are doing your quest. There's also something called limited bounties, which resets weekly. This one came with some extra rewards, like armor spheres, or even a Celestial Wyverian Prince, so it's worth completing them. And for you newbies out there, I highly recommend getting into the habit of picking up bounties early on. That way, when you hit endgame, you won't be scrambling for research points. Aside from bounties, I'd also recommend you to grab account items if you manage to pass through one while tracking the monster. In case you didn't know, account items are items that you can gather from around the map, and when gathered, it will immediately convert to research points. Gathering spots similar to the unique mushroom colony at the ancient forest and the burial deposit at the Elder's Recess is the one you'd want to look for to collect account items. I mean, there's no harm in doing this while you're tracking a monster. Just pause for a second, grab an account item or two, and keep moving. It may felt like small change, but it's still research point in the end. Unless you are doing a speedrun, there's no real downside to this. Capturing Endemic live is also one way to collect research point. Again and again, a thing with no harm to be done. Okay, maybe I'm biased because I'm absolutely mesmerized by this game's environment. But that's the reason why outside of doing quest, I sometimes just take a stroll around the map while capturing some of these endemic creatures. If wandering around the map isn't your thing, you can still capture these creatures during your quests. As easy as equipping the capture net, aim, and capture, as you move and track the monster. On top of giving you research points, the creatures you've captured can be displayed in your room. Pretty cool, to be honest, especially if you manage to snag some rare ones. There's a certain satisfaction to it. Fishing also falls under capturing endemic species, and the fish you catch can be displayed in your aquarium or pond. Plus, fishing has an extra perk. Some fish drop trade-in items, which you can sell later for Zenny. The trade-in items' only purpose is to be sold, nothing more, nothing less. Items like the silver egg, golden fish scale, and so on. You can get some of them through fishing, or by helping out in SOS flares, and you'll be rewarded with silver or golden egg. I personally love to fish in this game, so it's a pretty consistent way for me to get some research point, to a certain degree, especially when I'm just chilling in the game. Another way to farm trade-in items is by using the Bandit Mantle. Equip it, attack a monster, and it'll drop trade-in items. You can also rely on your Palico with the Plunderblade tool. Well, you gotta have the Plunderblade first, so unlock it by befriending the Grimalkins in the Roddenvale. Only then the Palico will be able to make the monster drop some trade-in items. To be honest though, I rarely use these two ways I just mentioned, because there's a way simpler method to collect trade-in items. Every few quests, the Argosy will show up, bringing items you can buy using research point. You can customize the type of items it brings, by talking to the Argosy captain. So, the Argosy have 3 slots of items you can choose to buy, where for each slot you can request what kind of item you want: consumables, materials, and the star of the show, the trade-in items. After you request the type of items you wanted, the next arrival of the Argosy will provide you with these items you've requested, and you can only make transactions with the Argosy by using Research Point. That's the reason I told you so many times to collect Research Points. If you are in a desperate need of cash, focus all the 3 Argosy slots on the trade-in items. The purpose is to pile the trade-in items up and then sell it to Zenny. The pricing varies depending on the items, but as long as you've got plenty of research points, it's never going to be an issue. Other items like consumables aren't worth requesting, in my opinion, since you can craft them yourself. Or, if you want to request for material, it's still fine to do, because sometimes there is materials required for crafting armors that can only be acquired via Argosy. And since we're talking about making money here, materials can still be sold for Zenny, so there's still value in that. Sure, as I've said earlier, this is not the most efficient and fastest method, but it's something you can do while playing the game naturally. It just flows. And of course, after collecting those juicy trade-in items, we sell them to get money. And then use the money to get some bad bits. Don't just let the trade-in items sit in your item box, since they're useless unless sold. It is also super easy to do. You just go to the item box, choose sell items, then press triangle, or whatever button showed up on your screen for selling trade-in items all at once. Or, if you want to pick the items to sell by yourself, which I think is pointless, just go to the Trade-in Items tab and then choose the items you want to sell. Honestly, making money in Monster Hunter isn't hard. If you think all these trade-in item shenanigans feels too slow, just sell the monster's materials. That's why I recommended it first, because it is the easiest and quickest to execute. Again, there is no point in hoarding items in Monster Hunter. Every single item, other than some cosmetics, can be gathered, crafted, or even bought, especially monster materials. Don't you go complaining about having no money, when you just stockpiling all that unused materials. Just sell it, right? Anyway, thank you so much for watching. If you consider yourself as a wealthy and prosperous person in real life, comment down below. Give me some job vacancy information, please. Consider subscribing also, and as usual, remember to stay away from poaching and hunt within regulations. Peace.